I'm here today to discuss about the research that we've done at the European Trade Union Institute. It's actually a big survey of EWC representatives, so employee representatives in European Works Councils and in SE Works Councils. And it's, as far as we know, the largest survey that has been done up until today. According to the directive, according to the law, the EWC has to be informed and consulted before the final decision has been taken by the company management. But if you ask the EWC representative, is it in generally so? Are you in generally informed and consulted before the final decision? Only 1 in 5 says that that's the case. So only 1 in 5 says that they actually have timely information and consultation, and that's quite remarkable. That doesn't mean that the other 4 in 5 that it's completely useless, because the largest group is informed and consulted before the implementation, so they can still influence something, but they cannot influence the main decision, and that's quite a remarkable thing. If you look at the reasons, or some of the reasons why people are informed and consulted too late, it's quite difficult to see. But we've looked at some indicators and we've compared some groups. And what we see is that EWC representatives that have a lot of meetings a year, so more than one meeting, plenary meeting a year, they are more likely to say that they have been informed and consulted on earlier. And that's quite logical, right? If you have one meeting a year, it's quite difficult to be informed and consulted about all the decisions that will be taken in the next year. If you have 3 or 4 meetings, it's quite more likely that management will say, well, in the next coming 3 months, we're going to do this and that. So the number of meetings, that matters. A second thing that we've looked at was the management, the attitude of the management. Is the management actually willing to engage with the EWC? And more than the structure, more than the sector, more than the company, more than the organization of the EWC, the willingness of the management to actually engage with the EWC is very, very important. So if you ask me some of the success factors, it's the number of meetings, that's a structural factor, and a second is a management that wants to engage with EWC. If we look at the quality of information and consultation, we asked the EWC representative on a whole series of topics, has it been discussed? Was it a useful discussion? Was there useful information? Or was there really useful information and consultation? And what we see is that the topics that have been discussed are mostly the topics that we know that are in, for example, the subsidiary requirements. It's about company strategy. It's about the employment forecast. It's about, general things plus restructuring issues. Those 2 topics are being discussed quite frequently. Now, if we ask them, was that discussion, was it useful information, or was it useful information and consultation? We see that on none of the topics, more than 50% of the EWC representative says that it was useful information and consultation. So even on the one that actually the most people say, well, there was useful information and consultation, is closures and cutbacks. So this is really when a factory is closing. And even on that topic that is hugely important, a huge restructuring issue, one of the main reasons for an EWC to be there, less than 50% or just 50%, just half, says we were really consulted on that issue. For all the other topics, it's less than that. So we see that information and consultation, the quality of information and consultation is still below par. However, so that's negative, but the positive issue is that if we compare again with 2018, we see an improvement. We see that more EWC representatives think that they are really consulted about the issues. Networking is extremely important in EWCs. We've also asked them, why do you think that these EWC meetings are important? And actually even more than information, EWC representatives think that the meetings are important to meet each other, to meet the representatives of other countries. So actually you could say whether the management is there or not, that doesn't really matter. It's about meeting each other, it's about representatives sharing information, trying to get to a same opinion. And that seems to be more appreciated by the EWC representatives than the part with the management. We also looked indeed at when the times get tough, right? So when there is a big conflict with the management, and it's a bit of a difficult issue. So the first question we asked is, did you have a serious conflict in your EWC? And what we see is that 16% of the EWC representatives, they say, well, in the last 5 years we had a serious conflict with management. Of those 16%, only 16% went to court. So we see that it's a very, very small group that actually takes court action. And we've also asked them, of course, so but what else did you do? What else did you try to do in the case of a conflict? And most of them said, well, we refer to the legislation or we refer to the EWC agreement. These are the two prime arguments that are being used. So this kind of shows the value of an EWC agreement, because if there is a conflict, this is the first reference they go to.